I'm going to have a little moan, if you don't mind. You know, things have been pretty positive this season, and I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not saying David Moyes out and all of that stuff, right? Lucas Paquetá was brilliant, but there were a few things that annoyed me in the game. I was going to go with two things. Maybe there's more than two. Let's start with the substitutions. It's incredibly frustrating the length of time that David Moyes' substitutes stand by the touchline just waiting to come on. And during that time, and it can be as long as 10 minutes. In fact, I would say it's frequently 10 minutes to the point where David Moyes gets the people down from the bench, and whatever instructions are given to the fourth official, who he's got his big iPad thing that he holds up in the air. He's got to input the data in there. It's a long, long time. Basically, David Moyes won't do it unless West Ham have a goal kick or we have a throw-in that's absolutely up the other end of the pitch. This really limits our time that we can get the substitutions on. And I think if I was one of the West Ham players and David Moyes said to me, you're right, you warmed up, I'm going to bring you on, I'd probably think, do you know what, Moyes, I'm just going to sit here for the next 10 minutes because, you know, I'm just going to sort of stand there anyway. I might as well do another run up and down and do a few more stretches because I'm warmed up now, but by the time you bring me on, I'm going to be freezing cold. And I think we lose such momentum in the game when David Moyes does that. I really do. I don't even know if David Moyes notices we lose the momentum in the game. And the reason I did the little disclaimer at the start of the video is I know there are people having a go at David Moyes again. I've been full of praise for him this season. I think if you're going to praise, you're going to have to be able to criticise as well. And I think on this instance, I think he got it wrong. Now I know there's a counter argument. Hey, this Liverpool are going to be much better than us, and they are better than us. But it doesn't mean you can't make incremental improvements. And there's a couple of things in this game which I think we could have done better. That being said, I think the players were pretty rubbish. But you know what? I've already done 2 videos before this covering that. I think there were a lot of players who did really, really poorly. But you know what? I think I've already covered them. And I've pretty much covered all of them, I think. However, that being said, when you appreciate that things are not going well and it's time to make substitutions, make the substitutions and make sure those substitutions have an impact. These were poor substitutions. They had absolutely no impact at all, and they were done too late. I think it might have been something like the 76th minute, 74th minute, something like that. I might be wrong, but I'm only a minute or so wrong. By that time, the game has gone. I used to watch Paul Nevin, who was probably the guy that was in David Moyes' ear most during games. I used to think, I wonder what he's saying. And on this occasion, I'm thinking, is there anyone next to David Moyes saying we're losing the flow of the game here? Probably around the 60-minute mark, it started to become really evident that Liverpool were having large chunks of the game. Their attacks were becoming more frequent, and our attacks had pretty much dissolved into nothing. At that point, you want to be looking at the game thinking, I need to do something now and I need to impact the game. But you just felt for too long Moyes was thinking, do you know what, I'm just going to keep it at this. We'll keep it as it is. And maybe we can, at the end of the game, bring it back to 2-2 because we might get a free kick, we might get a header, there might be a corner. And you very much got the impression that that's what he was playing for. By the time the substitutions came, and they were odd substitutions. Kudus for Antonio, I didn't mind that at all. But there was no supply line to him. He wasn't able to get into the game. I don't know why we weren't getting people closer to Lucas Paquetá, who was playing amazingly well. And for him to bring Pablo Fornals on, which I guess that was part of it, put Fornals on the left, puts Paquetá in the middle, maybe he can make some things happen. But, and it pains me to say this, and I don't mean it as an overview of Fornals' West Ham career. I'm just talking about the Liverpool game, when he came on as a sub, in this instance. Fornals was useless. I mean, he was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Kudus couldn't get on into the game at all. And then by the end of it, David Moyes ends up throwing on Danny Ings as a sort of last chance saloon sort of thing. The Danny Ings situation has got to be sorted out. That's my second moan up with the game, which is Antonio clearly wasn't working. It really wasn't. Throw himself down on the ground, complain. and then do that some more. He was involved in the goal. It was good in the build-up to the goal. But I remember watching Antonio on 60 minutes with his hands on his hips, and he couldn't be asked. It looked like he couldn't be asked. Now, that's easy for me to say. I'm not the guy up front on my own in David Moyes' system trying to run around. He was probably completely knackered. And if someone was to say that to me, I would hold my hands up and say, okay, I absolutely get it. But then have a plan B. But please, let's make sure that plan B isn't Danny Ings up top on his own. Now, I know that it was Kudus that came on for Antonio, but I'm talking about at the end. Because actually, whilst Danny Ings came on in 86 minutes, there was still, because you know how long these games go on for in the Premier League now, they stick so much time on at the end. There was actually, 10 minutes left in that game. Enough time to make an impact, enough time to do something, but we made no impact. And I think the reason that we made no impact in that is because we'd surrendered so much momentum to Liverpool by that point, it was almost impossible to claw it back. Liverpool's tails were up. They were purring, but I don't know how we got in that game from a position where Liverpool were seriously worried about us and we were hurting them to a point where we had no cutting edge at all. We were blunt. It was trying to hit them with a blunt implement. In fact, I'm not even sure we were trying to hit them at all. And I felt he really let it go there. In many respects, against those good teams, I don't mind so much if he is going to play Souček. Actually, Souček wasn't one of the worst culprits. Souček put over a lovely cross for Antonio. He had a good header himself. Okay, that's fine if you're going to play like that. But keep it up. Keep making a threat. I've already discussed what I think about Nigel Gerd, which would probably be, my third moan, but I did that yesterday in the video that I did with my old man. There's not much more to say about that. He's got decisions to make. He's got Mavropanos there. I think we need to find out whether Mavropanos can play in that position. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's Thilo Kehrer there. I think there's a little bit of a worry with Vladimir Coufal. I think there's a couple of people suggesting maybe, trying Thilo Kehrer at right back. Let's be fair, Coufal's got assists against Manchester City and he's got assists against Liverpool. It's defensively, which is, it's weird. There's a glitch in the matrix here. His defending has gone crap and now he can attack a little bit. Something's going to need to be sorted out. And I'm not saying about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm talking about with these big games. I get a bit sick of going away from home and losing to these big teams. So maybe he's got to find a different tactic for that. He's tried one. He's tried the tactic. Now we saw it against Man City and against Liverpool. And that's the playing Souček and Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. I wouldn't mind. Honestly, if it worked, I absolutely wouldn't mind. But actually, we're not scoring enough goals and we're conceding. That's 6 goals we conceded there. And yes, I know there will be other teams that concede 3 against Liverpool and other teams that concede 3 against Manchester City. So try something else. Let's try a new one. Maybe try 3 at the back against those. Just keep trying. Keep trying and trying different things until you find a formula that maybe works against these big teams, because it just ain't. And I do worry a little bit that sometimes we shatter players' confidences earlier on, but in their careers, particularly at West Ham. And I think it's really important that we get Kudus back out there. It's not great for Kudus to be thrown into a game like that at a point where we're already struggling. Give him a chance. Bring him on at half-time. Give him a chance to actually at a point where West Ham are actually playing well. So look, few frustrations from that game. Overall, it's been a decent start to the season. It really has. But we've got to push on from here now. We need to get a couple of wins. We need to obviously beat Sheffield United. I'm skipping the Lincoln game. We need to get a win against Sheffield United, and then what is it? Newcastle, Aston Villa. We need to win one of those games as well. We need to notch up another couple of wins in the league just to keep that momentum going. So when it gets to January, we want to be in the top 7. I don't think that's an unrealistic thing to hope for and to expect, particularly bearing in mind we've got some bloody good players in our team. That being said, there were some good players. Alvarez we've mentioned, Paquetá we mentioned as well. There's some. Bowen is in good form, even though he looked like he was still carrying that virus, a little bit unfit. This James Ward-Prowse has obviously been sensational. West Ham have got some really, really good players. I think I'm maybe guilty of allowing myself to believe that we could hurt these teams, Liverpool, Man City. It's not expect to beat them, but I don't feel we left anything out there against Man City. I thought we did the best we could. I think we did. I think we did against Liverpool. I don't think the players did the best they could. I don't think the manager did the best he could. So there you go. Thank you for indulging me in this little moan up.